Growing up, I was always that typical fat kid. You know, the one that you wouldn't expect to do well in gym class. When the beep test would come around, he'd kind of stay in the back and hope the gym teacher didn't notice him. But you could always expect him to go down to McDonald's at lunchtime and eat those fatty, greasy foods, get the McDoubles, get the junior chickens, and just munch it on down. So how did I go from that, being well over 300 pounds, to making Team Canada Triathlon? It's a pretty crazy story, and I'm excited to share it with you. Let's get into it. Welcome back to the channel, folks. If this is your first time here, my name is Brendon. I'm a Halifax, Nova Scotia-based runner who has lost over 150 pounds through the power of running and a habit change. If you want to hear more about that stuff, make sure to hit that subscribe button, hit the like button if you enjoy this video. Now let's get into the story. This isn't going to be a story about how I lost the weight or anything like that. That's for a different time. This is strictly just how I went from a very overweight person, very out of shape, almost no endurance at all, unless it was eating, to making Team Canada Triathlon. And to start, we have to go back to 2015 when I was at my heaviest, and this is also the year that my life changed for the better. So in 2015, I moved to Ottawa, Ontario, Canada for an internship. And at this company, I met an extremely key person to my life. He's actually changed my life in so many different ways. He got me more physically active. He got me into triathlon. He actually got me the job I have today. So this guy is a massive impact on my life. And sometimes all it takes is to meet that one key person to drastically change your life, kind of like Will Smith in The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. When I moved to Ottawa, I was well over 300 pounds. I had no real plan to lose weight. Of course, when you're that overweight, you want to lose weight. You keep on saying you're going to lose weight, but I didn't actually have a plan that I was going to execute to lose that weight. But this guy pulled me under his wing and taught me how to work hard, how to eat healthy, how to properly do an exercise routine, and how to build healthy habits into your lifestyle. And a lot of the habits I have today, I learned from that 5-month period and kept on. I did a bit more of a deeper dive to that whole story in my podcast. YouTube's not the place for that. If you want to go hear a longer version of that story, make sure you go check out the podcast. Link to that in the description below. So after that 5-month internship, I was in my 4th year of electrical engineering, and things were getting quite tough. Like, if I didn't have those healthy habits that I learned in Ottawa, my life would have been on a downward spiral in more way than one. I would have got consistently bigger. I would have got more consistently unfit. Things just would have looked terrible. And honestly, before I moved to Ottawa, Ontario, my school was not going great. I was just kind of passing by and all that stuff, but somehow that 5-month period transformed the way that I viewed work ethic. My work ethic after that 5-month period was extremely different compared to when I moved there. It's like, I don't know, like I got some sort of superpower on how to work hard, work long hours, and put in work. And that's an extremely important point to this whole story. The whole reason I was able to lose the weight and then eventually make Team Canada is because I had the proper work ethic and the proper focus. If you take anything away from this video, please take that away. If you want to achieve anything, you need to have the proper work ethic and have the focus and determination to do it. So through university, I was able to continue on with those healthy habits, running in between class, running before class, eating proper meals, preparing meals before class, so I wouldn't be tempted to go down to the cafeteria and pick up terrible foods. And through that, I was able to continuously lose weight through my university career, something that is very difficult to do, as most people know that are in university. It's very tough. You typically hear people gain weight in university, but somehow those healthy habits and work ethic allowed me to lose weight and become more fit through university. And one thing I forgot to mention is this guy, when I was doing my internship, was training for an Ironman triathlon. And for those of you that don't know what an Ironman triathlon is, listen to this. It's a 2.4 mile swim. That's pretty hard. 112-mile bike ride. Okay, that's even harder. But then a 26.2 mile run. So a full marathon after all that, back to back to back. It just sounded absolutely awful to me. But somehow in my 5th year of university, when I was about to graduate, I was like, you know what? I kind of want to hurt. I just really want to hurt. So you know what I think I'm going to do? I'm not going to sign up for that full Ironman like he was going to do, because he is just a whole other beast, and I don't think I'm at that point, but I did sign up for a half Ironman, so half of all those distances, and that was my introduction to triathlon. Yes, you heard that right. My first introduction to triathlon was signing up for a half Ironman. People should start with a half Ironman. That is a little bit crazy. You should start with a sprint triathlon, which is like much less. It's 750-meter swim, 20-kilometer bike, and a 5-kilometer run, so clearly much easier than what I was getting myself into. So through the entire year, I was training hard, learning lots about triathlon, and actually I was smart enough at least to do a shorter race before that longer race. So I actually did do a sprint triathlon about a month before that half Ironman, so at least I had some practice of doing triathlon before I went to the Big Daddy. Those races came and gone. I absolutely loved it. I did my half Ironman in Calgary, had an excellent day, I hurt a lot, but the thing is, when you do these endurance events, after you cross that finish line, you're probably going to go have a couple beers and look on your phone to figure out when you can do the next one. So after that point, I was extremely hooked on triathlon, and it's all I could really think about for the next couple of years. Running wasn't my main focus at the time. It's my main focus now, but that's a story for a different day. My main focus at that time, all I could think about was triathlon, and that's all I thought about. Like I mentioned, I started with those longer races, so those half Ironman races, and my thought was maybe I'll just continue progressing and do those really long ultra endurance races, but an opportunity came up, and this is where my whole world got flipped upside down. So in triathlon, there's this thing called the ITU triathlon, which is pretty much like the Olympic athletes that you see at the Olympics are ITU triathlon triathletes, if that makes sense. And every year, the ITU triathlon has a world championship called the ITU World Triathlon Grand Final. And at these events, they don't only have the ultra elite Olympic athletes, no, they actually also have everyday people like myself and like you watching this video. You can also go compete at the ITU World Triathlon Grand Finals. But the catch is, you have to qualify for them. And every country has their qualification rules and all that different type of stuff. But here in Canada, here's how you can qualify for the ITU World Triathlon Grand Final to represent your country. So in Canada, all the provinces are giving a certain amount of allocations for how many races can be considered as a qualifying race. It has to meet a bunch of different standards and all that stuff that I'm not quite familiar with. All I know is that it will tell you if you can qualify for the ITU World Triathlon Grand Final on the race registration website. So here in Nova Scotia, there was only one qualifying race, and that was at a place called the Kejimkujik Triathlon. And likely if you saw the word, unless you're from Nova Scotia, you probably wouldn't be able to pronounce that. And the qualifying distance for the Kejimkujik Triathlon is the standard distance, otherwise known as the Olympic distance, which is a 1.5 kilometer swim, 40 kilometer bike ride, and a 10 kilometer run. Now over that year, I was starting to introduce a bit more speed stuff. I knew that I couldn't get faster in the swim really. Like, I taught myself how to swim when I started to do triathlon, so I didn't have any background in swimming, and I could barely just survive in the water. And that's a funny story because surviving in the water has a lot to do with how the race actually went at the ITU Grand Final. Subscribe for that video. That's even more dramatic. But I knew that I could get faster on the bike and the run. So I started to do more interval sessions on both the bike and the run, a bit more tempo sessions on the run, higher power stuff, higher cadence stuff on the bike, all that good stuff, all that lingo, technical lingo of endurance sports. You folks know it. It kind of hurts, but it's also a lot of fun. So the morning of the race came, I got ready, I was feeling good, had my oatmeal, blueberries, and peanut butter and maple syrup because I'm Canadian and that's just like my blood. So I had that, I was feeling good, I got my stuff ready and go down to Kejimkujik to get ready for this triathlon, and they told us that it's going to be a bit delayed because it's too cold. And you know what? I was not mad. I was not mad at all because I did not feel like going and swimming and then going on a bike in like 2 degrees Celsius temperatures. That does not sound fun. So they delayed the race for it to warm up just a little bit. But then the race was about to start. They tell us, get ready, everyone get to transition zone and all that good stuff. Rack your bike and then meet us down by the water. So that's what I did. I racked my bike, got my wetsuit on, put my swim cap on, looking like a nerd, and went down to the water for the swim start. So the gun goes off and I get in the water and I do this loop twice. So it's a 750 meter loop and you have to get out of the water, run around a buoy, and then do that twice to make up the 1500 meters. The swim went relatively well. Like I found a groove. I was like feeling relatively comfortable in the water, which wasn't common at the time. So you know what? Things started off relatively well, but I didn't swim fast. Like everyone that I thought could be my age group, they were well ahead of me, so I had some work to do once I got on the bike. So one thing you have to know about myself is I'm extremely clumsy, and that clumsiness doesn't translate well to handling bikes. Bike handling is not my strong point, and I fall over on my bike quite often, and it typically happens when I have to go around like sharp turns, and unfortunately for me, this bike course was 8 5-kilometer loops, and every time you're about to turn around to complete another loop, it's a very sharp turn. Can you guess where this is going? So on the first loop, nothing really happens, feeling great, like kind of getting used to the bike motions. But then on that second loop, when I'm about to make the turn, boom, I topple over. Yeah, folks, I fell over on my bike and it didn't really feel fun, if I'm being totally honest. My leg was really bloody, my hand was really bloody. It was just not fun, but I got back up, got on my bike and started hammering forward because the adrenaline was carrying me through. So I ended up passing a few people on the bike that I thought could potentially be in my age group, but it's kind of difficult because I'm in the age where a lot of people could like either be 30 in a different age group or like under 18 in a different age group. So it's just very difficult to tell, but I was trying to pass as many people as possible. So I ended up finishing the bike in about an hour and 15, getting off, rocked on my bike, and I was about to start the run and I noticed that there was someone in front of me that that I knew for sure was in my age group. And he was probably had like a minute lead on me, but you know what? There's something about me where I like can create stories about people in my head. And my story that I created for this guy was that he doubted me. He didn't believe in me. He thought that I was going to lose and all that stuff. And that is something that seriously drives me crazy. So that's the story I made about him. And I was hunting him down. So I started on the run going about 4:20 per kilometer pace, just like hunting this guy down. I had his number on my sights and I was going after him. And I did. I ended up passing him. And that was pretty much the end of me ever seeing him again, because after that point, I just kept on laser focus going forward. Actually, that's a lie. I did see him like one time on a loop coming back, and he ended up walking. So he must have, like, I don't know, maybe had cramps or something. But for me, I just kept on going laser focused and going down the hill. So that was good. I ended up finishing the run in like 46, 47 minutes or something like that. Pretty fast for me, to be honest. I was quite happy with that. But I didn't know if I ended up winning my age group, because at the finish line, there was tons of people that definitely looked like they were my age. But the thing is, there was multiple races going on. So I wasn't sure if they were in the race that I was racing for or whatever. So I had to wait for the awards ceremony. So the awards ceremony was about an hour after I finished the race. And sure enough, folks, when they were announcing the winner of the 20 to 29 age group, Brendon Camm was called. And that was just like unbelievable. And honestly, I talk about this more in my podcast, but I felt almost imposter syndrome. It didn't feel real to me that I have gone from someone that was so overweight, someone that was constantly made fun of for being overweight, being unfit, being lazy essentially, to someone that could put in the work, put in the grind, dedicate myself to something holy, and achieve an amazing goal. It didn't feel real, and it took me a long time to really appreciate the actual gravity of what I achieved. It took me a long, long time. It was amazing. It was absolutely amazing. So that's a very quick summary of how I went from well over 300 pounds to making Triathlon Team Canada age group team. Like, it's pretty crazy. And in the next video, I'm going to talk about how the actual race went in Lausanne, Switzerland when I was out there representing Canada. Again, if you want to hear a more in-depth story of how this went, link to the podcast in the description below. I go into a lot more detail. If there's anything you take away from this video, please let it be that if you have determination, if you have focus, and if you have commitment, you can achieve literally anything. Don't let what anyone else thinks about you or what says about you do anything else but drive you. Let those negative energies fill your body with nothing but determination. And I promise you will be surprised. All right, folks, thank you so much. I'll catch you on the next one. Make sure if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, hit the like button if you enjoyed the video, and I will see you on the next one.